Good morning, dear students of class 12. Welcome to the English online class. Today we are going to revise two lessons, The Rat Trap by Selma Lagerlof and Indigo by Louis Fisher. Both these lessons will be coming in your periodic test 1. So listen carefully and note down the important points. The lesson The Rat Trap, it delves on a theme that understanding and love can change a bad person into a good person. The main protagonist of the story is a peddler who went selling rat traps that he had made from buyers that he had begged or stolen. Now, one day, he just philosophizes on this thought. And the thought is the world being a big rat trap. The world offers man shelter, food, clothing, riches, joys, etc. and traps its victim, just like a rat trap lures a rat. The idea appealed to him as he was in a state of penury poverty, and he liked other people who fell into the traps. It gave him a kind of sadistic pleasure. Now one day as he wandered on a winter evening, he spotted a little cottage by the roadside. And on knocking at the door, he was surprised because he never expected to receive a warm welcome hospitality for the night. The crofter, who was the owner of the cottage, not only allowed him to stay, gave him his supper, and also played a game of majolis with him, but also he shared his secrets. He had saved 30 kroners by selling milk and showed the place also where he had hidden the money. Now, the peddler, next morning, when the crofter and the peddler, they went on their way, peddler betrayed the trust of the old man by returning back and stealing the money, and he left the place. Now on the way he realized that he had himself fallen in the rat trap as he lost his way. Now, following the sound, because he was extremely tired and exhausted, from a distance he could hear the sound of iron being beaten. He arrived at Ramjo's iron works and he was allowed shelter. He was not invited, but he was just allowed to be there. But when the owner of the iron mill came, he mistook him to be an old acquaintance, a captain, and addressed him by a name Niels Olof. Now, the peddler tramp kept quiet in the hope of making some money, and he did not tell his real name because he thought that the ironmaster would take pity on him and would shell out some money. The ironmaster rather invited him to his house for the Christmas Eve, and now the peddler cleverly declined that invitation because he feared he would be caught. Now, the peddler, however, could not refuse the ironmaster's daughter's invitation, Edla Williamson. She requested him in a very polite, courteous manner, and she did not compel him. She did not make him feel small. So her manner of invitation was different from that of the ironmaster, which was more like a command. And the way of her invitation, the peddler could not decline, and he accepted the invitation. Edla was intelligent. She suspected the mannerisms, way of talking of the captain, that is peddler, who was posing as a captain, but in reality he was a peddler. And she felt that his mannerism did not show the background of a real captain. When after a bit the peddler appeared in a different look, the ironmaster got angry and decided to hand him over to the sheriff. Now, here the peddler tried to explain to the ironmaster his theory of the world being a rat trap, which the ironmaster found very humorous. The ironmaster's daughter stopped her father. She intervened and stopped her father, and she had very sound sleep. It was a Christmas Eve, so the peddler was allowed to stay and share the Christmas lunch. The ironmaster and his daughter learned at the church service that a tramp had robbed a crofter in the area. And now they realized that they were sheltering a thief in their house, and they feared that all their precious goods would have been stolen by now. But on return, they found nothing had been stolen. Rather, the man at the gate said that the peddler had left a rat trap and 30 kroners with a note for Edla. And when Edla read the note, in which it was written that he thanked her for treating him with dignity, with respect, raising his status to that of a real captain. And the rat trap was a Christmas gift from a rat who would not have been able to escape the world had he not been raised to the level of a captain. And the note was signed as Captain Vaughan stated. Goodness in a human being can be awakened through understanding, and the lesson highlights that even every man, every human being is good at heart. But this is lying latent, and it can be aroused only through love and understanding, which was shown by Edler to the peddler, and he was now a transformed person. Now, let us work on the next lesson now, Indigo by Louis Fisher. Indigo is an excerpt from the book on Mahatma Gandhi, The Life of Mahatma Gandhi. And this excerpt deals with a series of events as told by Gandhiji to Louis Fisher that urged Gandhiji to force the departure of the British from India. Rajkumar Shukla, a peasant from Champaran, met Gandhiji during the annual convention of the Indian National Congress in Lucknow, and the peasant requested Gandhiji to visit Champaran and look into the condition of the sharecroppers of Champaran, who were being ill-treated by the British landlords. Rajkumar Shukla was adamant and finally was able to take Gandhiji with him. Now, on way to Champaran, Gandhiji stopped to meet a lawyer, Rajendra Prasad, who later on became the President of India and before that President of the Congress Party. He decided to go via Muzaffarpur so that he could have a better understanding of the problems of the sharecroppers. He contacted J.B. Kriplani, who met him at the station with a group of students, and Professor Malkani allowed him to stay in his house, which Gandhiji found very daring as he was an advocate of the home rule. Now the news of Gandhiji's coming to Champaran spread like wildfire, and people started rushing to Muzaffarpur in order to see their Messiah. Now here Gandhiji chided the lawyers for charging high fees and told the people that they should be free from fear. Now the problems of the indigo sharecroppers was that there were large farms in Champaran which were owned by Englishmen and Indian peasants worked. The landlords forced all the peasants to grow 15% of their land and surrender the entire crop as rent. When the landlords learned that synthetic indigo had been developed by Germans, and they forced the tenants to pay them compensation for releasing them from 15% arrangement. Now, some peasants agreed, some refused, but later on, when peasants came to know how they were cheated by the English landlords, they felt unhappy. Now, Gandhiji started by getting all the facts. He was met with opposition from the British landlords and the land commissioner. They refused to give him information, in fact, asked him to leave Champaran and Tirupur. When he refused to obey the orders of the British administration to return from his mission, he was given summons to appear at the court the next morning. He got mass support in Motihari from the local peasants, which was beginning of the end of their fear of the British. Now, the inability of the officers to control the masses resulted in the trial in the court of Motihari being postponed. Other prominent lawyers like Rajendra Prasad, Brij Kishore, Maulana Mazrul Haq arrived in Champaran to support Gandhiji and were ready to court arrest. Gandhiji received a letter informing him that Governor General of the province had dropped the case, and this was the first triumph of the civil disobedience movement. And on the orders of the Lieutenant Governor, inquiry was set up. But in this inquiry, it was proved that the landlords had exploited the Indian peasants and they were asked to pay compensation. But Gandhiji asked only 50% of the money and later accepted 25% when the landlords, they kept the proposal. Gandhiji accepted 25%. Now, Gandhiji felt money was not important, but it was significant that the British landlords had surrendered their prestige and the farmers had learned to fight for their rights. Within a few years, the landlords left their lands and the farmers became owners of their land. Now, cultural and social reforms started in Champaran, and Gandhiji wanted the economic and cultural backwardness of the area to be removed. Here, Mahadev Desai, Narhari Parikh, Gandhiji's wife Kasturbai, son Devdas, many volunteers from the nearby areas and ashram, they were ready to serve. They taught ashram rules, personal hygiene, sanitation and health care to the peasants. All the time when Gandhiji was in Champaran, he also attended to the ashram work by sending instructions and advice. Some of his lawyer friends thought it would be a good idea to take the help of Charles Peer Andrews, an Englishman. But Gandhiji was opposed to the idea as he considered it a sign of weakness. So Champaran became a representative of Indian independence and a lesson of self-reliance. So all this was bound together. Champaran set the stage for our struggle for freedom. Stop here and we'll continue with the revision of the next lesson in our next class. Prepare for your PT1 and listen to the video and write down the points. Thank you.